Let's watch some crazy stuff, yo! Jeez, Rick, oh my god!
Hello, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, and welcome. It's Nurse Richard, the Wax Wizard. Thank you for joining me. A couple of patients in this video today, and the first one is a really satisfying one. Anyone who's a fan of skin ribbons, then stay tuned. You're going to like this one. Now, I did try to get this with the hook and the forceps, and it just kind of snapped apart a little bit. But how this peels away, it's really interesting actually. And I'm trying to just pull it along the side of the entrance to the ear canal there, just to get this bit of skin out. This wasn't the ear that was giving her trouble. That was the second one. You'll see why when we get to it. So it didn't pull out with the hook. That's what I needed to do instead, because it was still quite firmly attached to the ear. So what I'm trying to do is use the hook to leverage underneath it and just peel it off the base and the side of the ear canal. And it worked to some degree, but we did have to rely on a bit of oil after this to get it out. But you'll see it peeling away after I managed to get a hook. Now what I was trying to do was peel it up a little bit. Then I was hoping to embed the hook into it, as I've just done, then turn it round. Would have been great if it had come off this, and then pull it up, but it didn't happen. It didn't come. So I've gone back in with the forceps, which I did try to use originally, but it just pushed it back in. And I've tried to pull that. But what you'll see, keep a close eye on here, is to the right-hand side, you'll see it's a little bit pink and a little bit red. Now what that usually means is, can you just see, I've stopped at that point because I can see that pink and that red area there. It's still a little bit attached, which means it might be a little uncomfortable to pull this away. So that's why I've put a load of oil in, left it for a minute or so, and tried to really gently pull it out. Now the patient did still feel that a little bit. It's never complete. It's really rare that anyone feels anything, but she did feel that a little bit. It wasn't unnecessarily painful. She just felt a little pull. So it's brought the blood vessels nearer to the surface. But we've made it less uncomfortable by putting the oil in and waiting a bit and really slowly trying to wiggle it. But it is a little bit pink. Just picked up a bit of oil on the way in there. There's a little bit pink at the base of the ear canal. It's quite a little blurry. Maybe some minor bleeding, but nothing major. Now this was her other ear, the one that was giving her the trouble. And you can clearly see why. But when this comes out, it's fabulous. I know Reese would love one like this. He's a big fan of skin ribbons. And when this comes out, there's a point where you get to where it kind of unravels this. It's layers and layers of dead skin that's been collecting. It's like squeezed together like a concertina or an accordion. And when you pull it out, it unravels into this ribbon, this sheet. And it's the patient had a right laugh about this. So did I think she brought a family member with her. And I think it was a daughter. And we could literally see it sticking all the way. It's like coming about this far out of her ear. She had a right good giggle. Oh, Mum, I can't believe that. It's literally hanging out your ear. Now, because of what happened in the first ear, with this being a little uncomfortable and still a little bit attached, I put oil in before we started to try and get this out. And it did make a big difference. She didn't feel anything at all with this one. So it's patient comfort is always at the forefront of your mind when you're doing something like this. Fair chunk as well when this came out. I've got an update. I'll tell you in a minute. I've got an update on my daughter. I know a lot of you have been asking how she is, how's things going. I've got a very exciting and a wonderful update to share with you in a bit. But we'll just get through this ear first, and then I'll tell you about the other ear, and then I'll fill you in on what's gone on, because I know a lot have been asking you, and I've got a lot to tell you. So this is where it's stretched out. So I've tried to get the hook in there and managed to wrestle it free. Look at that. And look what happened as it snapped off. You've got this huge skin ribbon sprouting out of this ear. And I thought that would be quite easy to just hook out, but it just shreds through it a little bit. I'm going to go a bit deeper and try again. Try and get one side and then the other. But it's really thin, so it just scraping along the edge of it. But it's really long. I've got a shot of this afterwards as well. So I'm going to grab it a bit further back with the forceps and pull this out. And it's really shocked the patient. This when I showed it to her. You might hear on the audio.
Wow.
I think it was a good grief. I can't believe that. And here it all is. I'm not sure how long it was in total when I didn't lay it out next to a ruler. Somewhere between 5 and 10 centimetres, pretty long. And there's the ear after. Second ear here. This was quite a young girl. I want to say she was an early teenager. Had this really dry, hardened, flaky blockage in both of her ears. And I thought that would hook out quite easily, but it's crumbly as well. Now, she swims quite frequently, at least weekly. Her dad told me when she came in. And that's possibly why it's ended up like this. It's really dried out this ear. I know it sounds weird getting water in your ear, drying it out, but it can do. And it rinses away all the natural oils in there. So you're just left with this really dry skin plug. Might be slightly inflamed and irritated. It's not an infection as such. But it goes a bit blurry at points because obviously I'm quite close to it. There's quite a lot of hairs there as well. But because the skin is so white and just completely dehydrated, it kind of glares at you in like this kind of bright white light when the light reflects off it. It does get a bit clearer later on. The other one's a bit clearer still. Anyway, I promise you an update. So if you don't know much about this story, I think I shared it late last year in October time, where my daughter, who's 11 years old, she collapsed at a gymnastics competition, and then a further time at school. And we've since found out that she's got 2 quite rare heart conditions, which has made life extremely difficult for her, to say the least. One of them was Wolff Parkinson. It's all to do with the electricity in your heart, and they're both genetic. You're born with it. One of them was Wolff Parkinson White syndrome. It's usually quite manageable, not usually serious. And the other one was called long QT syndrome. And the consultant had never seen both of them together. He said she's a bit of a one-off. We don't quite know, you don't expect to find these 2 conditions in the same patient. I always knew she was unique and a bit rare, but I'd rather it wasn't in that way. So anyway, for the last 9 months, she's had all kinds of tests, operations, medication reviews, and some of it has worked to some degree, but unfortunately, while all that's been going on, she's not been allowed to do a lot of stuff. They have been slowly increasing what she's allowed to do, but up until yesterday, she wasn't allowed. She was allowed to go to gymnastics, but she wasn't allowed to be on anything high, like a high bar or high beam. She was having to do it on the floor because they didn't want her collapsing when she was at height. It was quite dangerous. She wasn't allowed to swim. Wasn't allowed to do anything too strenuous. And so she had a further test, which is running on a treadmill while you've got all these monitors attached to you. And she did great in that, but still this irregularity in the electricity in her heart was still showing. But the thing that's really helped is when she had a genetic testing. So this condition, long QT, is associated with a faulty gene. Don't ask me to get too technical with this. Associated with a faulty gene. And that faulty gene, it can have 3 variants of this condition. So the first one means your heart can be triggered into abnormal arrhythmias, rhythms, which can be potentially fatal. For 3 reasons. The type 1 is associated with overexertion, a lot of cardio. Type 2 is associated with sudden shocks, or sudden noises or surprises. And the third one, it can just be triggered for no reason while you're just asleep. And that's the one that you definitely don't want. The second one's not ideal either, because that's hard to plan when you're going to be surprised by something. So the type you wanted is type 1, because that's really well managed by medication and the risk goes really low. It's still there, don't get me wrong, life's always going to have its challenges and its risks. But the genetics came back that you had type 1, which is the best it could have been. And what that means is they now know that the medication controls type 1 very, very well. So as of yesterday, they said, go back to completely normal. You can swim, you can swing on high bars, you can do gymnastics competitions again. She can go back to cheer class, which she wasn't allowed to do because that involved a lot of heights as well. And so you can imagine our delight that whilst life, it will never be without risks, it's now without restrictions, which is amazing. And it's been an emotional journey, I'm not going to lie. I know I've not told you about this here, but I know a lot of you have been asking me about for an update, and that's our latest update, which is the most positive one we've ever had. And so now she's allowed to do everything. I think this week I'm going to take her swimming, I'm going to go to a theme park, go on some roller coasters, because she wasn't allowed to go on them either. And we're just going to do all those things that we've not been allowed to do. And can't wait for all that. But once again, thanks for all the people who sent me messages wishing everybody well. And that's probably the best news that we could have had, that life can go on as normal-ish. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the ears anyway. I know I didn't tell you about much of them, but you could watch it. Maybe go and watch it again and then put me on silent. But I know a lot wanted an update, and there's today's update. So it's a big weight lifted off our shoulders. Anyway, sorry for rambling on, but I know you wanted to know. But for now, take care of yourself, and I'll see you soon. Ta-da.